Steve Pringle will be inducted into the Oregon Music Hall of Fame for his work in the industry. A radio guy, blues aficionado, Waterfront Blues Festival host, radio teacher, and overall good human. With us today is Caryn Pringle, his wife, and his son, Trey. They're going to accept the award as Steve passed away on November 3rd, 2019, and he is missed every day by those of us who are lucky enough to call him friend. Caryn, I know this is bittersweet, but how do you think Steve would feel about being inducted into the Oregon Music Hall of Fame?
He would be thrilled. So tickled. He would be really happy about it. He would probably be doing cartwheels if he could.
That I'd love to see.
Yeah, me too.
What's your thoughts about this, Trey?
I mean, exactly the same. I think he likes the award ceremonies, and to not only be the person who would announce the winner, but to be the winner himself, I think would be a nice change of pace for him.
Now, what year did he move to Oregon? I know he didn't grow up here.
That's an ambiguous question. I have no idea.
He was 22, I think, when he moved here from Chicago.
22.
Yeah. He was born here, then he did a lot of schooling in Chicago, and then came back here when he was 22.
Right off the Greyhound bus.
True.
Now, and like he did other jobs before deciding he wanted to be in radio, but when he set his aim, he scored. I'm just going to share my little bit here. Steve started at the radio program at Mount Hood Community College, and Jeff Young was the head of the program. Now, Jeff and I were dear friends, and I called and asked him to send me someone who wasn't flaky and who loved rock. He sent me Steve. With that great big smile, big laugh, and can-do attitude, I knew he was the right guy. Did he ever talk about doing the other jobs and his decision to go into radio and like how that all evolved for him?
I mean, personally, he had a lot of time talking about, being a truck driver for Harbor Freight, working in the factories. One of my favorite stories, he used to talk about, he worked at a pickle relish company. And he talked about how he had to go diving into a large vat of it to like unclog something. But when you think about my dad, who, got a face for radio and loves his music, like to think about him diving into a giant vat of pickled relish, it seemed kind of hard to believe, I guess.
Yeah.
That's hysterical.
Yeah, you didn't like
I just
that.
somehow am trying to envision Steve doing that, but
Very hard thing to do.
well, then he picked the right field to go into, and he certainly had the love of music. And since he spent time in Chicago, is that where the blues kind of came into his soul?
I don't think so. I think he talked about going somewhere on Belmont, and he loved acid rock, long hair bands. And he went on to some little place on Belmont, and he heard blues, and he heard it done well. And he thought, he had younger kids, and he thought, I can get behind blues. This is something that a grown man can do. I don't think I can keep listening to hair bands at my age. And the blues is the sound of those. It's the base of it all. So that's how he started in on that. Yeah.
Now, Steve interned with myself and Bob Anchetta at KGON. He did the Friday Freeway Blues at KMHD, worked at KKJZ, and finally really found his radio niche, his home, at Kink for many years. Tell me how you two met.
Through a friend. Yep. We were both divorced. I'm not Trey's mom, but I am. We were both divorced, and we had a mutual friend who had us over for a get-together. She's going to set us up at their home. Our kids went to preschool together, but we didn't know each other. Steve and I didn't know each other, but our kids knew each other. And he actually had been to my house for a party when they were 3. And we came around later on, and we said, hey, I think you were at my house a long time ago. So we met through a mutual friend, and he brought jambalaya to the event. And I thought, wow, Annie can cook. That was it. Yeah.
Well, Steve was really known in this community, especially for his love of the blues. He was stage announcer for the Waterfront Blues Festival, and he hosted the blues show at KMHD and at Kink. after Bob Anchetta retired, he filled those shoes very nicely. He taught at Mount Hood Community College, too. And have you heard any stories about people that he taught radio to coming back and saying, thanks, Steve? Either thanks for the tips to get me into the career or thanks for scaring me away from it.
He mostly scared people away from it.
I remember he had this story of like the first day of class, he would come in and just tell everybody like, I know you're here because you want to get on the radio, but I'm here to tell you that you won't. Like he was known for kind of, I don't want to say shooting down dreams, but at least giving people like reasonable expectations of what they were getting into. And yeah, it seemed like a lot of his stories with past students were, running into somebody working an event or somebody backstage, gripping or setting up mics or any of that, just get pulled aside for a second. He's like, hey, that's one of my students, and go off and chat for a half hour or so.
He talked one time about going to class and someone fell asleep in his class and he took a big, huge stack of books and dropping it right in front of them on the table to wake them up. And he came home and told me that story and I thought, oh, don't tell me that. Don't tell me you do that. But
it woke him up.
It woke him up. Yeah, you were not going to sleep in his class. But he ended up having a lot of people that from those classes that he, worked with. So they got into the industry.
Well, I know for me, the fact that Steve interned with myself and BA, it was our delight to see him be so successful in the radio industry because, as you say, you warn people away from it. So he with that great big booming voice and that larger than life personality, it was great. Was he like that at home too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think there was ever really like an act for the radio or an act when he'd go on stage or an act when he was introducing bands and it was just Steve Pringle,
It was a Steve show, pretty much.
It was. You kind of look back and you think like, how couldn't he get onto the radio, kind of retroactively looking at it.
Built for it.
Just really was, back in high school making his little mixtapes of him on the radio and yeah, he really was born for the job.
He also loved Halloween.
Yeah, really into his visual effects makeup.
He loved makeup.
Yeah.
Yeah, he used to read books on it about how, he just loved that art.
Yeah, the Fangoria magazines and whatnot.
Yeah, we have a lot of those. Zombie movies, zombie makeup. He was very interested in that. How they special effects. Mm-hmm.
And when he passed, there was his whole makeup kit. Ended up taking it back with me. Had somebody come over to my house not too long ago, and they opened up a cabinet and see like gallons of fake blood. And it's hard to tell him like, no, it's my dad's.
It's not mine.
Yeah, it's not mine. I'm holding on to it for a friend.
Well, he gave me quite a fright coming into work the first time in full makeup for Halloween. And I was like, Steve, I love you, man, but you got to leave right now because it's freaking me out. But actually, it led to him being in a movie. Right?
Right.
Talk about that.
Yeah, it was a TV show.
Zombie Nation. Right?
Z Nation?
Z Nation.
That
Z
sounds
Nation.
right.
Yeah.
A buddy of his up in Washington just got him on, and I cannot tell you how many times I have watched that show, and it only been that one clip. No other full episode.
We watched it quite a few times.
Just every time somebody came over to the house, it's like, did you know? Or it wouldn't even be that. He would turn it on, and he'd let you find out that he was in it. No setup, no.
Right.
Only the punchline.
I always thought he should have hosted a blues Halloween thing. It would have been so Steve.
It would have been so Steve.
The crossover we never got.
Well, the Cascade Blues Association honored him with a Muddy Award in 2018 in recognition of his dedication to blues music in our community. What did that honor mean to him?
Everything. That meant a whole lot to him. And We have a picture of him and Bob up with his award, and he had that in his bedroom. That meant so much to him, to be honored like that.
Well, to climb tooth and nail to get into the industry, to actually get his voice on the air, and then to have it kind of immortalized in plaque or a trophy or what have you, to have people kind of actualize your experience and to honor and recognize it. I think
He loved it.
He was the host with the most, that's for sure. Well, we all miss him, and we do know that his memory is going to live on in the music community here in Oregon. So many people in the blues community just not only thought of Steve as somebody in the industry, but also as their biggest fan. And that's pretty huge.
Yeah, right.
I mean, that they talk about him. Norman Sylvester said Steve was our biggest fan, supporter, and a phenomenal DJ. His energy and dedication to our community will live in our soul forever. And that's a pretty huge thing for somebody like Norman Sylvester to say.
You bet it is.
So tonight, you're going to both go up and accept the award for Steve being honored and inducted into the Oregon Music Hall of Fame. Do you have a speech prepared? Who's going to do the speech? Trey, you're going to do it?
Yeah, I am. It's a strange thing to prepare for, but feels nice. Feels right.
It's an honor.
Just a little thing about Steve. What were his top three favorite bands?
Kiss.
Sure.
Who's next?
Anyway.
Etta James.
I mean, kind of like you were saying before, he really was the man playing the music, but he was also the biggest fan.
Yeah.
Like, you could have named a band and he would know every album they produced, when they produced
Who the drummer was, when he stepped out for a while and they got a replacement drummer.
Oh yeah, for X Tour, or just encyclopedic knowledge about too many bands for there to ever feel like there could be a favorite. When you're the number one fan of everybody, every band, every artist that you're turning people on to, hate to say, like, how can you just choose one? But
he loved introducing people to new music. That was his favorite thing. If he could turn someone on to a band that he liked, that would make him really happy. He loved doing that.
Or if you like somebody showing you every other piece or group they've been a part of, and all the work they did solo, and the history of it, to get to have you have a deeper well of knowledge about the things that you were interested in too, because heaven knows how he got as much information as he did, or how he knew what he knew about pop culture, music, or anything. Just hate to keep saying encyclopedic knowledge, but it really just was.
He walked in that way. It was funny because I kind of learned it when I got into radio. But Steve walked into the doors of the radio station as an intern that way.
Really?
Yes.
I bet.
I was going to say, I don't doubt that one bit.
He must have been 32, 30.
Yeah. So when I asked for no flakes, man, I knew when this guy walked in, I said, perfect. He's got it. And he did love the hard rock. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
He listened to it a lot in his music room.
So he had a music room at home?
Oh yeah.
Ear bleeding volume from there?
It's in the garage, and it's a separate room. And how many CDs does he have in there?
Give me the next year to count,
thousands.
honestly.
We don't even know how many. It's still there. We're keeping it just like it is. But he would spend a lot of time in there, and we would have to tell him to quiet it down at night, because my daughter's bedroom was right above it, and it was pretty loud. But he spent a lot of time in there, and he loved his music.
Yeah, you just disappear and put a show together, one song at a time. And it's kind of interesting how, like, anybody who makes a show is the first to listen to it, but like, he would make his own thing and then listen to it as if he were like a listener, sitting back in his chair, putting it on, spending however long it was for the show, just hidden away, listening to nothing but music.
Now, he passed away before his, actually, it was going to be a fundraiser for him, but it turned out to be the best memorial I've ever been to. It was phenomenal. And one of the things that he really wanted was a guitar, jam, where he had all these guitar players just on there throwing down. And I kept thinking, Steve's right here, right now, loving the hell out of this.
You bet. You bet. He also wanted a throne up there. Did you know that?
No! Get out!
Definitely.
Yeah.
A throne?
He wanted a throne up on stage, and he wanted to be there. And I think they put the kibosh on that one. That was his plan, though. He wanted. We discouraged it, but.
Well, it was a great night. It was one of wonderful memories, and funds were raised, and it was hard to see this amazing, ball of energy being taken down by a rare cancer. I think he really raised awareness for people to go and take care of themselves too.
Yeah.
I know that's one of the things he said to me the last conversation that we had, was that he wanted people to take care of themselves a little better and be good humans.
And be good humans. Yep. That's terrific. I really respected the way he dealt with his sickness and his death. He was really upfront about it. And when people tried to say, you're going to be okay, everything's good, he was really, I was very impressed with that. No, I am not going to be okay. I know exactly what's going to happen. There's not a good story in this as far as healing or anything, but I've had time to reflect on my life, and he had time to say goodbye. So that's pretty amazing in our culture that doesn't honor or want to talk about death.
Well, he was one of a kind. I will say that. Caryn, Trey, thank you so much for speaking with us this afternoon. Have a wonderful time as Steve is inducted into the Oregon Music Hall of Fame.
Woo!
Congratulations, Steve. I know you're watching us tonight.
He is. Thank you.